speech is about mothers. I don't know how many we have left because some are leaving, but how many mothers do we have in the audience today? So, this is for all the band of mothers out there, okay? People need to start listening. I refuse to believe we are a flash in the pan movement. We are not. We are real, we are here, and forward will be our only direction. We are the band of mothers, as Joy Pullman from Heartland Institute recently referenced. The band of mothers have traveled a long, long way over the last year or so, and we have more hard miles ahead of us, and we'll trudge through the muddy trenches, but we'll do it together. At the start, few took us seriously. Silence has been the usual response to all of our issues and concerns. To lots of folks, what we were trying to do was impossible. Goliath was too big, too strong, and too powerful. So I simply relied on Walt Disney. Yes, that guy, who once said, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. And that's what we've all been doing together, the impossible. Few of us have titles, just Facebook avatars or pictures, but in our hearts, we know the title that's valued the most, and that's Mom. Since the beginning of time, mankind has found titles to be very useful tools. Titles help distinguish people and the tasks they perform in societies. Titles define roles and give a certain order to things. Some titles are the regal sort: prince, lord, or lady. Senator, ambassador, or statesman speaks to a person's political skills. People of distinguished talent are called doctor, professor, or colonel. Some titles reveal a person's special commitment to others. We call them pastor, father, or rabbi. But of all the titles all over the world, none has ever had the universal power of mother. It's also a regal term in itself, a title that speaks of both special talent and commitments. But now it has also become a political title, not by choice, but of necessity. Of all the titles, none have the endearing softness of Mom. Other titles, by comparison, seem rigid and are seldom reduced to a soft and simple term like Mom. You can't really soften your highness, your honor, or your majesty, but Mother has been softened to Mom the world over since time began. But here's where we need special caution. When it comes to Mom, never mistake that soft sound for meek, mild, or weak. Nature forces us to be very careful of the title Mother. Threaten a tiger or bear cub, and you'll have your hands full of Mother. In fact, threaten any newborn, and you'll see a quick swap to fierceness the title seldom implies. Flick the right switch, press the wrong button, and Mother will become a nightmare term. Human mothers are hardly different. The fastest response you'll ever see from a mother is when her child is put in peril, and it won't be a momentary reaction at all. It will be a sustained, sort of aggressive defense that shocks the senses, even though it shouldn't. Place the child in harm's way, and you'll witness an innate response that seems so out of character, but it's not at all. It should be expected, very expected. Harm presents itself in different forms. Physical danger evokes the most immediate responses of all. We've all heard of tales of warrior moms, savior moms, and survivor moms who reacted to awful situations where the instinctual nature takes over. And the almost impossible is overcome, because when it comes to when it comes to a child, nothing is impossible for a mother. But peril comes in many forms, and this Common Core threat is a special sort of peril, a special sort of danger. Therefore, we are creating a very special reaction with a very special band of mothers. All across the state and all across this great nation, a band of mothers have been the first to step forward to protect their children from this Common Core wreck. That shouldn't surprise us all, but it has. In fact, it so stunned some folks that a lot of not-so-special things have been said to turn the term Mom into a very negative title. Many of us are usually quiet and reserved. We take the fact that we made the personal decision to become a stay-at-home mom. But now we've been called to a fight we didn't ask for and have been forced to join in the muddy trenches and recruit others, town by town, county by county, and state by state. This is one war the Band of Mothers will not avoid. Few of us envisioned investing endless hours crisscrossing the state to give presentations hours away from our home, away from our children, losing precious time we will never once again recapture, attending forums, stepping outside of our personal comfort zones, speaking at Board of Education meetings or running for Board of Education, building a rapport with our state representatives to hear the case against Common Core. Other moms have made a commitment to work outside of the home, but they too find their hours and energy sapped by this effort. They're special jugglers of time and energy. For nearly all the Band of Mothers involved, this has been an effort that requires hours of researching, composing letters, connecting, organizing, making calls, endless trips to Staples and tacking up flyers or handing them out, using our own resources, time, and money to get the job done, whatever it takes. That also includes bugging the hell out of our family and friends. We are all devoting endless hours to both the expected and the unexpected. But stay at home or not, there's one special sort of sacrifice every mother is making. We are sacrificing precious hours and mounds of our emotional strength that would otherwise be reserved for our own personal gems, our own children. We sacrificed hundreds of hours, days, weeks, and months that we will never have again or reclaim with our own children because of Common Core, and that makes the Band of Mothers very angry. That's not a complaint, it's an observation. When our children are involved, we don't complain. We go to work, come hell or high water, no one is going to turn our children into pawns. Of course, we would all prefer the other sweeter moments, more intimate moments with our children. A warm snuggle on the carpet while playing cards with your little man, or a chance to share those homemade cookies, those homemade chocolate chip cookies you made with your little girl, shaping them into hearts instead of the common cookie cutter round shaped cookies. Having tender words that make our hearts warm and yearn for more, sweet mother and child moments only a mother's heart can understand. Or to share a silly movie or a funny book that we have read 1,000 times over. Those treasurable moments are now fleeting, too far and few in between, because we have been called elsewhere. We did not look for this mission. It called for us, the Band of Mothers, when they began using our children for their crusade. But others have called us out. Arnie Duncan, the Federal Secretary of Education, said he found it fascinating that some of the opposition to the Common Core has come from suburban moms who, all of the moment, found their child isn't as brilliant as they thought they were, and their school isn't quite as good as they thought they were, unquote. Mothers, so long revered and respected, are now clueless child agents who have no idea of the child's growth and development. We're suddenly stupid and incompetent. And I guess we're expected to set aside all those natural instincts and hand over our children to these power-hungry, controlling bureaucrats and educrats who, because of their inherent genius, will shepherd our children to the educational utopian promised land. I refuse. And before you try to transform our children to global citizens, remember that our children are part of a far more important group, my family, your family. And the family will help those children define their own futures. And the world will be better off for encouraging them to find their own path. Not a path designed by think tank educrats or billionaire bullies who want to control and use our children. I refuse. If Arnie Duncan, the principal Common Core commando, or any of the pompous insulters such as Governor Andrew Cuomo, wherever you are today, Bill Gates, David Coleman, Sir Michael Barber, think that a backhanded slap is going to muffle the rage of the intelligent and devoted Band of Mothers across this state and across this nation. Well, then again, Mr. Duncan and Governor Cuomo, You are both in for a mother of all wars. And by the way, they should whisper a warning to all of their corporate cronies who think they found the super solution to their future bottom lines. Our children. I refuse. Our children are not for sale or human capital, as the CEO of Pearson, Sir Michael Barber, likes to refer them as. Our children are not to be bought and sold on the open market to the highest bidder. Go search elsewhere for the robots of your future nightmare for a workforce of a managed economy. I refuse. Arnie Duncan was wrong. He made a mortal miscalculation. His well-repeated insult has not been well received. But there's special irony in his denigrating remark of any and all mothers. He's done us more good than harm. That's right, because now there's a very large army of very angry and very unhappy, very protected band of mothers here in New York and across this nation. I don't think it's the war he wished for at all. He's been trying to vacuum up his words since that disparaging statement about suburban moms. Well, Common Core needs to be vacuumed up too, completely. Facebook and internet speak are famous for all acronyms of all sorts. Common Core warriors such as Emma McGowarty from American Principles Project and Tony Urso, who works tirelessly mentoring many first-time grassroots state leaders, have chided me many times for using the term "I'm just a stay-at-home mom." In their eyes, I guess it seems to diminish the importance of some of us. Not for me. I loved that title since the first moment that stick read positive, and I knew my first child was on the way. To me, it's a medal or a badge of honor that will shape the future and legacy of our country. This call to arms is not something I thought I would be doing a year ago or ever envisioned doing. I was very happy and quite content of not having a footprint on the internet. But that's changed, not only for me, but for the many, many mothers across the state, from upstate to downstate, from county to county, to town, school district to school district. We've been challenged to come out of our comfort zone. Stay at home or not, all mothers have been challenged to get out of their comfort zones because our internal sixth sense and natural alarms kept going off, giving us warning signs, ringing nonstop. Our maternal instincts kicked in, making the hair stand up on the back of our necks. When a mother's radar goes off, you better be forewarned and you better watch out. I know we can't change a lot of the national or international circumstances surrounding us these days, but we can change this particular circumstance. We are mothers, and we never thought of those long months of pregnancy as we nurtured and cared for our blossoming and beautiful growing bellies as sort of an incubation period for would-be global citizens, as Governor Cuomo referenced in his State of the State address this past January. My children are not global citizens. Their passports clearly states that they are citizens of the United States of America. Nation. But first, they're members of a family. We'll raise them as such and how we see fit as parents and advocates of our children. I refuse to let my children be wards of the state or of the federal government. And they're also citizens of New York. Last time I checked their birth certificate, Governor Cuomo, and we raise fine babies here in the state of New York. No one is going to tamper with that right. I refuse. Governor Cuomo does not have a right to our children, nor does he have a right to hijack our schools and turn them into ideological centers that serve these global ambitions. I refuse. We want our local control back, we want our schools back, and we don't want Common Core. We did not give life to our children so they can be groomed to be good, little, obedient, trained workers for a 21st century global workforce, or for a future managed economy according to the needs, wants, and desires and profits of the corporations, or because we need some more workers in a certain sector. I refuse. We gave life and breath to our children to be creative, free thinkers, movers, to have have minds of their own that will shape the future of this country, to preserve the greatness of this country, and to be leaders of this country, not to be mediocre or to be part of a collective group on the world stage. Common Core has turned nightly homework into horror sessions. Even college-educated parents find it impossible to decipher the assignments of first, second, or third graders. You know something's radically wrong when you can't even help your second or third grader with their math homework. And there's something really wrong when parents, that's all of us here, need to be tutored and attend Common Core workshops so we can enjoy as much misery as our children. Parents are shocked at certain content that is not only age inappropriate, but also downright inappropriate. They wrestle with questionable guidelines and impossible directions. Curriculum designs seem as though age was never a serious consideration, or the ability of the individual child. In short, homework has upended home life. Evenings are lost in homework frustration and anxiety. The tales of tear-soaked homework hours are easy to locate on any Facebook group page, are dreadful and heartbreaking to read or hear. Parents are at their wits' end and are at the end of their patience. But it's our children, the children who worry us the most. Then there's the incessant testing, the stomach-churning, spirit-killing testing that seems to be the wretched new objective of all classroom life. Swirling the scary data collection with over 400 data points being collected on your child without your consent, the loss of recess time, the overemphasis on keeping pace with a curriculum tied to a rigid timeline, and you've got your recipe for school phobia. Mental health experts, one of our own, Mary Calamia, I don't know where she is, but she's somewhere here, Dr. Megan Kosnick, a child psychologist from Indiana, have hard words for Common Core. Dr. Gary Thompson from Utah has labeled Common Core state standards cognitive child abuse. And that's what many of us are experiencing. Children now see their schools as places of discomfort rather than warmth and curiosity. Creativity has been lost to conformity. Anxiety has replaced joy. And who do these children look for reassurance, for help, for explanation? Moms. And that is why we are here. Not because we want to be here, but because we have to be here. It's part of the mom job. It's also part of the mom job to support our children, to tutor them, to be comfortable with saying, I refuse. I refuse to take this test, and that it is okay. I refuse to be a test subject to park and raise their bottom line. I refuse to be used as a pawn in some corporate caper that feeds the bottom line of the powerful. I refuse. We raise our children to be innovative, nimble, independent thinkers. Never be afraid to think outside of the box. Every child is unique, even within the same family. You cannot gauge a child's creativity or interests and talents by these data-driven test points or by Common Core. For me, as a mother, my stance is very clear, crystal clear. I refuse. You can rummage history for people who have made I refuse a centerpiece of humanity and their fame. Dr. King, Rosa Parks, Mahatma Gandhi, or Susan B. Anthony. For me, David Henry Thoreau nailed it perfectly. If the machine of government is of such a nature that it requires you to be the agent of injustice to another, then I say, break the law. Hard to imagine those words tumbling out of my mouth as a mother. But now, because of this wreck called Common Core, it's easy. It's real easy. I refuse. Recent developments in New York might call for a new sort of response. We would be smart to stay nimble and flexible, to stay fluid. Confucius said it best, when it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action. And that is what we'll do, as often as necessary. The only issue about Common Core state standards that we have in common, no pun intended, is that there is a common consensus that Common Core is being adamantly protested, not only here in New York, but nationwide. Bands of mothers, such as Erin Tuttle in Heron Crossing, Indiana, Jenny White from Oklahoma, Gretchen Logue out of Missouri, and the ladies of Utah, as we have lovingly dubbed Elisa Ellis, Renee Brady, and Crystal Swansea, who have helped us start our mission here in New York. These are the Lady Warriors, the band of mothers from across this nation who have come before us here in New York, who have ignited and spearheaded the movement years ago. They are the pioneers who still fuel this movement today. Because of them, Common Core is now part of the national language and conversation. Reform is not a bad term. No one is adverse to it. Solid, worthy, and competent ideas do not involve force or coercion and are done in the open for the public to see, not under the radar like a covert black ops stealth maneuver under the cover of darkness. But that's exactly how Common Core invaded our lives. Public education is just that. It's public. Honest and open ideas are done for people to hear, understand, and discuss for their approval or disapproval. Common Core is much more than a curriculum up to date or a revision of academic pursuit. It's become a family-altering, societal-changing, childhood makeover by government on all levels. It will not stand. I refuse. It will collapse, it will be taken away, and it will disappear. Because a band of mothers across the state and across this nation will not lie down and allow the lives of their children to be shredded by a handful of idle educrats and government know-it-alls who have decided that the families that make this nation what it is are now incompetent forces in the lives of their own children. I refuse.